ਲਾਇਆ 21 ਗੁਲਾਬ ਜਾਮੁਨ ਹੈ ਹੁਣ ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦਾ ਮੰਗ ਸਕਦਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦਾ 1-2 ਕਿਲੋ ਗੁਲਾਬ ਜਾਮੁਨ ਹੁਣ ਕਰ ਦੇ ਬਈ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਤਾਂ ਪਊਗਾ ਜੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਉਹ 21 ਗੁਲਾਬ ਬੰਦੇ ਲਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਯਾਰ ਬੈਠਾ 21 ਗੁਲਾਬ ਜਾਮੁਨ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ
ਕੰਜਰ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈ ਨਾ
ਹਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਵਾਂਗੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਲਾ ਰਹੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਾਉਣਾ ਪਊਗਾ ਨਾ 4 ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹਾਂ ਉਹੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਉਹ ਤੇ ਹੀ ਪੰਗਾ ਨਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਲੋਗਿਨ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਮਿੰਟ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕਰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਯਾਰ ਕਿਤੇ ਘਰ ਕੋਈ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਲੋਗਿਨ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਲੋਗਿਨ ਹੈ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਯਾਰ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਛੱਡਣ ਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੁਣ ਘਰ ਕੋਈ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਅੱਛਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦੋ ਮੈਂ ਆਉਣਾ ਹੀ ਘਰ ਮੈਂ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਘਰ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਹੈਲੋ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਘਰ 1 ਮਿੰਟ ਯਾਰ ਹੈਲੋ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਰੁਕ ਜਾ ਫਿਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਗੱਲ ਯਾਰ 1 ਮਿੰਟ ਯਾਰ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਯਾਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ ਕੇ ਦੇਖੂਗਾ ਕਮਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਨਾ ਪਾਣੀ थैंक यू जी। इसको नहीं क्यों होंगे?
हाँ स्ट्रीमिंग है, चल तो रहा है, मेरी सरकारी तो चल नहीं रहा है।
नहीं क्यों होंगे?
हाँ स्ट्रीमिंग है, चल तो रहा है, मेरी सरकारी
Do investors stop?
अभी कोई स्क्रीन प्रेजेंट नहीं करी क्या आपने?
नहीं अभी कोई नहीं। हेलो। हाँ मैम एक बार ज्वाइन करके ना सेटिंग कर लो, सुबह ना दिक्कत आई थी काफी। हाँ एक बार join
गुड आफ्टरनून मैम।
गुड आफ्टरनून सर। गुड आफ्टरनून।
मैम एक बार प्रेजेंट करके देख लीजिए।
हाँ, मेरा वीडियो कैमरा में भी कुछ इशू है, पता नहीं चलेगा कि नहीं। प्रेजेंट में करके देख लेते हैं।
प्रेजेंट करके एक बार देख लीजिए।
गूगल मीट में कोई दिक्कत नहीं होती वैसे तो।
मैम हाँ, गूगल मीटिंग सुबह है ना, ब्राउजर का था तो उसमें काफी दिक्कत आई।
एक सेकेंड सर।
क्लियर।
मैंने ऐसे ही कोई खोल दिया। हो रही है शेयर?
हाँ जी मैम, हो रही है।
चलो बस ठीक है सर, मैं 1 मिनट मेन वाली है वो खोल लेती हूँ।
कोई बाद में 5 मिनट तक शुरू करते हैं, कैंडिडेट भी आ जाएंगे।
ठीक है सर। मैंने ऐसे ही खोल दिया। हो रही है शेयर?
हाँ जी मैम, हो रही है।
Do you invest in stock market?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
गुड आफ्टरनून मैम।
या गुड आफ्टरनून सर। मेरा वीडियो नहीं चल रहा सर, जरूरी है वीडियो तो मैं लैपटॉप से करूं?
नहीं मैम कोई बात नहीं, आपका पीपीटी शेयर कर दीजिए।
हाँ वो मैं कर दें स्टार्ट।
हाँ बस मैम। ओके। गुड आफ्टरनून पार्टिसिपेंट्स। Good afternoon, participants. We are in our second day and third session. Today, in third session, the topic of a lecture is formulating course outcome and their mapping with POs and PEOs by Dr. Meenakshi Sood. Let me introduce ma'am. Dr. Meenakshi Sood, an experienced academician and consultant, is currently working as associate professor in CDC, National Institute of Technical Teacher Training and Research, Ministry of Education, Government of India, Chandigarh, India. She has teaching experience of around 25 years and worked.
She did her PhD in biomedical signal processing and is gold medalist and academic award winner in
Gold medalist and
honors from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Her R&D activities.
She received an academic award activities, 5 ongoing and completed PhD thesis, 25 MTech thesis, 1 granted and 2 published patents, as well as around 150 research papers in reputed index journals and international conferences in India and abroad. She has also 8 book and book chapters and 4 technical proceedings to his credit. Currently, she has been exhaustively involved in implementation of NEP 2020 in technical education and higher education institutes, curriculum restructuring, NBA and NAC accreditation process of HEIs, innovative curriculum design, and learning pedagogy, and professional competence professional throughout the country. She is a resource person of various technical institutes, universities of implementation of NEP 2020 across the country. She has been on AICT inspection committees and conducted transparency audit of numerous central government organizations like IITs, NIT, NTA, etc. She is also research person for Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Centers. As a consultant and researcher, she has been involved in numerous studies and have done over 1.5 crore of consultancy under World Bank project for capacity enhancement and skill development, and also leadership enhancement training of principal of Technical Institute of Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan, and Uttarakhand, etc. Presently, she has been appointed mentor to Triple IT Una in the University of Education in the Ministry of Education capacity building program for faculty and higher education institutes with a special focus on design and entrepreneurs. She is also part of core team for developing the curriculum of technical institutes of state of Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Delhi. She is on board of Thapar University, HP Technical Department, KIET Ghaziabad, and holding the post of Executive Member ECE of Institute of Engineers, HP. She is working on developing OBE and MEP 2020 based curriculum design for Education 4.0 for Northern State of India. Ma'am, please. Ma'am?
Sorry, I was muted, sir. So thank you so much, Dr. Sunil, for such a humble introduction. And thank you, the authorities, Slight Longewall, and the coordinators of this program for inviting me to interact with so many academicians from the different institutes and repute. So, sir has given me the responsibility of talking to you all about the outcome based education through COPO mapping. So I understand that for the last, this is the second day, and as I was just going through the schedule of this FDP program, so much is so talked about the outcome based education. So I won't go into the detail of the what OBE is, but I would focus on the mapping or the articulation mapping, and about something about the implementation of the OBE. So I would request all the participants to take more interactive. I would request all the session is online, but it would be great if you could put questions forth, or not only question or queries, but if you have some different view also. You all are faculty with experience, faculty with experience, so you might be differing from some viewpoint, or you might have some points to discuss. So you are most welcome, and you can unmute and we can have discussion over that. Anyway, so I'll be talking more about the primarily the course outcomes and the new program outcomes which have been laid down by the NBA, and then I'll talk about how the various outcomes which are to be formulated, although Bloom's taxonomy has been covered, but I want to give you some information apart from that. And then finally, the articulation mapping of the different learning outcomes with the various constituents of OBE. So you have already been discussed that the various level of outcomes in the OBE is at institutional level, program level, and the course level. So institution level, the outcomes are seen or taken into account by defining the vision and the mission of the institute, of the program. So whatever the institute aims at, the objective or the main goal of the institute, that is the vision, should be taken as the final goal for designing any program, for starting any program, for teaching any program. Everything, every step should be taken into the direction of the achieving that vision or aiming that vision. So the mission statements or the mission of the, whether it is for the institute, whether for the department, everything should be in a direction to achieve the vision. That is the main, the gist or the philosophy of the outcome based education or the outcomes at the institutional level. Next level we all know is the program level, which is the competencies or the outcomes which we are expecting from the students when they have completed their or during the 4-year program or 3-year programs, which are fixed and which are in tune with the graduate attributes. So how okay, and then because it was seen, because they are being fixed for all the graduates, so it was seen that there are some certain gaps, or the POs which have been defined by the Washington Accord are not able to cover some of the outcomes at the graduate level. So the flexibility is given to design and to define the program specific outcomes, right? Similar to program outcomes, but these statements are describing those outcomes which are not being covered by the program outcomes. And finally, the last one, that is the course outcomes, or we call them a course learning outcomes. That is outcomes which are expected at the end of the course. That may be a theory course, that may be a practical course, even a seminar or internship or on the job training. Anything which the student is indulged in during his 4-year trajectory of the program, it has to be outcome based. So we all know about this, and we also have the idea about the model of OBE, which is the PDCA cycle, plan, do, check and act. So it begins with the planning part, planning of outcomes, then what we have planned, doing, that is the syllabus, what syllabus has to be taught, how it has to be taught by various teaching learning processes, and how it has to be assessed. And then checking what was planned and what has been done to achieve that plan, whether we have achieved it or not. That is checking at the course level, at the program level, or at the university level. And finally is the acting part, which is closing the circle, what was planned and what was achieved. If there is a discrepancy between the both, what actions are to be taken. So I won't go into the details of the philosophy of the model of OBE. So again, just diverting your attention a bit towards the various outcomes which we'll be talking about while mapping. So the first, as we know, all are the program educational objectives, which should be consistent with the mission, and obviously we know it is after 4 to 5 years of after the completion of the program. So gone are the days when the institute was responsible only for the students learning, or the hand holding was till the student completes his degree. Now the OBE or the National Education Policy also talks about that whatever we are making them learn, whatever we are making them achieve, they should carry it even after for 4 to 5 years or 9 years throughout their life. So what they are learning, we have to make them self-sufficient for self-learning, and we have to teach them, or we have to make them learn how to learn. Okay? So the new SAR also and the NAP also talks so much about the ability of students, or ability of teachers in fact, to make students learn how to learn the things, so that it can be a long-term goal which we talk about in terms of program educational objectives. And it is obvious that proper process is there to define the program educational objectives. Proper committee should be formed, brainstorming should be done, the representation of every stakeholder. See, OBE, when it talks about it, its main underlying statement is involvement of every stakeholder, not only students or faculty, even the industry people, the alumni, the staff, the parents, the society, all are stakeholders. So every stakeholder should have representation in every decision which is to be taken. So POs also, when they are framed, the proper process is there, a proper committee should be formed, brainstorming should be done, and then finally the POs should be framed. And the thumb rule is 3 to 4 POs, not 10 POs that okay, what we are expecting from the students. We have to frame only 3 to 4 POs. This is one simple example of POs, aeronautical engineering, that after the 4-year completion, when the student goes out for a job or for higher studies or for as an entrepreneur for starting his own journey, what competencies he should exhibit. This is simple one example for you people to just go through it. Next come the program outcomes. Okay, how many program outcomes do we have? We all know they are fixed. How many? Can anybody reply?
How many?
Yeah. Any one of you can unmute and please reply that how many POs you have been working with?
12.
Okay, yeah. Anybody else? Okay. So up till now, because actually these outcomes are in tune with the Washington Accord, because India is a signatory body of Washington Accord, which checks the quality of our technical education. So that is why our students or our graduates, those who graduate from the institutes whose programs are NBA accredited, their quality is ensured, and they are free to get, or they can get a job throughout the world, whether in US or UK, wherever, or Australia. The student can go directly and work. The student has not to give any separate exam, has not to appear for exam, or has not to appear for any test to show the equivalence. That is because our NBA is, India is a signatory of Washington Accord, and which NBA takes care, maintains the quality, which is not same for the our doctors or lawyers or other profession. So if our doctor wants to appear or wants to start a practice in US or UK, he has to take some exam to show the competency or to come to the level of the performance which the doctors in US or UK are required. Anyway, so as mentioned, the program outcomes are fixed, okay? But yes, because AICT has fixed the program outcomes for all the technical institutes, whether degree or polytechnic. And now UGC has also given for the management courses also. But still, the remaining courses from humanities, law, or other courses, the POs are not fixed. Okay, but and one more thing is that NBA was the accreditation was expected only from the technical colleges. But now the UGC is coming up with, as per the NEP 2020, that every degree program, whether it is BCom, whether it is BSc, MA, any program related with education has to be accredited. Education has to be accredited. So for that, the POs have to be defined, because the government has not given. The government has given some 17 POs which can be taken as the reference and we can define. But what I want to share with you all is that when we define a PO, or these graduate attributes were also defined, two major components have to be taken care of. First thing is, when you write the PO, you have to identify which competency has to be attained. When we are saying program outcome, outcome means the competency or proficiency which we are expecting from the student. So, what that proficiency you want to be attained. And the second part is, what should be the performance indicator to define that competency, or to identify that competency, or to finally see whether the competency has been achieved or attained or not. So any PO, when we write, the statement is along with the what competencies are expected. And so, like PO3, design and development of solutions. So design solution for complex engineering. This is the major this. And so the PIs will be how, whether the student is able to define a complex problem, generate an alternative solution, select the optimal design, like this. So one program outcome, if it has 3 competencies, every competency will be described by its performance indicators, right? And then the various assessment or the attainment of this can be checked or can be connected. I won't go into these details, but now, as Sir said, POs are 12, but now for your information, the new SAR, which the NBA has just come up on 10th of this month, and it is in force, they have changed the POs from 12 to 11. So, first thing is, PO1 to PO5 are same, which were in the previous one. Right, and they are domain specific, more into the technical know-how, engineering knowledge, problem analysis, design development of solution, and conduct an investigation of complex problems. So they are more into the technical knowledge and engineering tool usage, and they are domain dependent. So if I am a student of BTech in computer science, he may have a different outcome while designing and development of solutions. If I am a student of electronics and communication engineering, his outcome may be different. So they are domain dependent. But rest of the 6 another outcomes, POs, are totally domain independent. If you can see, the one which has been changed is PO6. Earlier it was the engineer and the society and the environment. It has now clubbed together to form one PO, which is the engineer and the world. So all the institutes, those who are planning for the going for NBA accreditation from January 25, you have to redo the the entire document in consonance with this PO11 rather than PO12. But those who have already filled the pre-qualifier, they can go for the previous one. So coming back to this, so this 6, if you see the engineer and the world, ethics, individual teamwork, communication, project management, lifelong learning, they're all domain independent. So any student of management, electronics, computer, civil, whatsoever, these are common and these are not dependent upon what domain knowledge the student is having. If a student of electronics may have the similar communication skill with the student of mechanical, a student of civil may have a good teamwork or interpersonal skills, may exhibit interpersonal skills similarly as the student of physics or maths, right? So these are the PO11. And one more thing which has been changed is now they have defined the knowledge and the attitude, which they were WK. So the POs are now related with this 9, knowledge and attitude, because the entire education system talks about knowledge, skill, and attitude. So the POs, like if you say PO1, when they are saying applying the knowledge of maths, for what purpose as specified in WK1 to WK4, where WK1 says theory-based understanding of natural sciences to the discipline and awareness of relevant social sciences, conceptually based maths, data analysis, statistics, theory-based formulation of engineering fundamentals required in discipline, and engineering specialist knowledge that provides theoretical frameworks and bodies of knowledge. So this is also addition to the present POs which are to be mapped. So similarly, like design and development of solution is WK5. So WK5 is knowledge, environmental effect, whole life, reuse, zero carbon, supports engineering design and operations. So this is also to be now taken care of and has to be understood what actually they want. This we also need to study that how to relate this knowledge and attitude profile with the program outcomes. Okay, so the next one is program specific outcomes. We all know, have I already talked about it. So they have also to be considered as what the program outcomes are to be considered, but the purpose of this PSOs is different. Yeah. Now I come to the main, that is the course outcomes. In the new NBA and the National Education Policy, now is giving more focus on competency rather than the word outcome. Okay, the competency is the key word. Okay, which the entire this credit framework or higher education, they have talked about this. Even the SAR on the front page, the new SAR has also mentioned the competency based framework. So competency is just the one step over the outcome, that is the demonstrable characteristics and skills which the student should show that will improve the efficiency of individual and any organization. So because now why we are talking about this is because the end result of our education, especially the technical education, is the student who is employable, and more focus is on the industry oriented employability. We want that our student should be industry employable. So we should cater to the needs what the industry requires. And we all agree that there is a huge gap between the academia and the industry. What industry is requiring, we are not teaching in academics. And what academics is teaching, that industry in a way is not requiring, because industry requires more of skill part, right? So we have defined now the competencies at the macro level and the micro level. So industry specific competency has to be related when we design the course outcomes. Okay. So if you see, yeah. So the course outcomes is at the, we call it as macro level. The program outcomes or the PSOs are the global level, that is the graduate attributes, which is catering to not only the local requirement of the national requirement, but also the global requirement. That is why the POs are in tune with the Washington Accord graduate attributes. So they are the global level, and POs are the universal level, that is after the student has moved out. Coming back to this competency. So CO, the learning outcomes or the course outcomes, we call it as the macro level for the entire one syllabus. But now it can be divided into, or meso level we call it, into micro level outcomes. And it comprises three main micro levels learning outcomes: the learning unit outcomes, the affective domain outcomes, and the practicum outcomes. So it means when we are writing the course outcomes, we have not only to think about the knowledge domain for the entire subject, but we have to now talk about every unit knowledge of the every outcome knowledge, and along with it how the practical knowledge or the skill the students are attaining. So they are called the practicum outcomes. And as I said, the education means knowledge, skill, and attitude. So affective domain outcomes. So the course outcome, when we right now we have to write talking about the competencies, we have to take into account these three micro level learning outcomes also. Okay. So this is the change which is going to take place. This is simply a study of the learning outcome attainment, that how every course outcome for the different courses, these are the different colors where the student is gaining the knowledge. Every course outcome is mentioned while it is moving from first semester to the 8th semester. So at some level, third year or so, this is the threshold performance, okay, where the student starts. After this, before this, it is a linear approach where the student is gaining the outcomes are there. After this, till from third year to fourth year, the learning or the attainment is not linear. Progression is not there. It is not uniform. It depends on so many other parameters also. And after the completion of the degree, fourth year, when the student goes into the industry or higher learning or whatsoever, there the learning is now dependent not only the course outcomes, but the learning what the student has learned here, what the learning from the experience, or the learning or the self-learning in fact. Right? So there the work standards or the competency reduces and learning is slow. Okay. So this is one study which has been done to show that how the relationship between the course outcomes and the time or the various POs and POs is there. Okay. Any questions up to now, or I can take the questions at the end? Okay. So I can take the questions at the end. So now coming back to the course, when we are saying now the micro level LOs have to include the affective domain and the practicum and the learning unit knowledge. So it is very important to understand the various domains of learning. Okay? So we have three domains: the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. That is, cognitive is related to the knowledge, affective is to the emotion part, and the psychomotor to the action or the skill part. So I call them 3H. All the 3H, the head, heart, and hands. If we want to go for the another H, that is the holistic development of the student, we have to care that all the 3H have to be. Okay. So now when we write the course outcomes, what usually I have seen, all the course outcomes are written as per Bloom's taxonomy, which the previous session was all about, and you people must be doing it also. But I just want to know, when you are writing a course outcome for the practical course or for any theory course in which practical part is also there, right? When you write LTP, lecture, tutorial, and practical. So do you write the course outcome of the practicals also as per Bloom's taxonomy? Will someone answer that? When you write the course outcomes for the practicals,
Yes, ma'am.
or any subject which has the practical part, your subject, then what is the how do you write the course outcomes? Okay, so I've seen.
Yes, ma'am. We write for our course objective for lab also. Those are also defined according to Bloom taxonomy.
Yeah. So that is good, but a bit of I would say that as the Bloom's taxonomy has understood by all and is being talked about and is being used also because it is more into the knowledge domain. But as the Bloom's taxonomy, we have two other taxonomies also. One is for the psychomotor domain, that is the Dave's taxonomy, in which the capabilities or the outcomes of the student who is doing the hands-on or who is doing the practical, right? For them, what should be the taxonomy that should be used? So Bloom's is covering these two, but as a faculty member, it is important that you should have idea about the taxonomy of psychomotor domain also. So if you see, again it is on the same lines. It has 5 main levels. So first one is imitation. So in lab also, when we start the lab, usually the teacher dictates, the teacher at least tells that how to perform this experiment. Sometimes by demonstration also, sometimes by computer or on the board whatsoever. So that is what main domain we are catering to, that is the imitation. That the student is observing the skill and he is attempting to repeat it. Further, it is manipulation. That is what the instruction has been given to the student, whether he is able to perform that skill in according to that instruction. So you see, you can relate it those who are taking the labs. Third level is once the student is able to perform the skill and he practices, then he goes for the precision. It is now he can reproduce a skill with accuracy and he can, without the help, independently he can perform that practical. And then comes the articulation. So see, you just related with your list of experiments. We start from a basic experiment, simple digital electronics, okay, basic gates, then universal gates. Then using those universal gates, some circuitry, using the different multiplexers or different combinational and sequential circuits, the student is performing. So what we are doing, we are giving him a skill to a different set of skills every time in the lab, so that then he can combine all these skills and then come up with some job or some competency which he can depict. And the last one is naturalization, which is very important. See, so at the end of the entire, say, one semester, when the student is taking the doing the practical exam, going for the Viva voice, giving presentation, giving the file and all. So it becomes a habit. So developing that naturalization, developing that habit, so that it comes automatically into the system, so into the student. So when the student is doing so much on the, say, DSO, or on the any software or the breadboard, so anytime the student comes with a breadboard, he will not think of, okay, what are these vertical lines or horizontal lines, or what voltage I have to apply. He will be so much ease with it, that he has acquired the skills, that it comes automatically, it becomes a habit. Okay, so this is the taxonomy of the psychomotor domain. So whenever now you write the course outcome, take into this account that no doubt we have to mention the Bloom's taxonomy, because Bloom's taxonomy is covering entire this part also. But at least this idea should be clear to a teacher when we are going for the practical part, and when we are writing the course outcome of the practical courses, right? Similarly, we have the affective domain, which presently our education system is not talks about much, but the new education policy and the new SAR, they are going to talk about this affective domain taxonomy. That is the involvement of the heart. That is whether the soft skill part, whether the student is ready to receive, or he's just a passive element sitting in the class. So if a teacher is taking the class, if his stimuli is given, whether he is ready to receive, and if he is ready to receive, whether he is reacting to that, whatever you are teaching, is he responding, is he understanding? Say, same story of Bloom's. Remember, understand. So remember means he's just receiving what is given, okay? If he is understanding, then he is responding. If he is applying, then whatever he is understood, whatever he has responded, he is valuing that and then applying. So in a way, the Bloom's taxonomy is covering the entire thing. But if you see both the domains, the taxonomy for the psychomotor skills and for the affective plays an important role, and in the coming times it will be added into this. So responding, valuing, organizing, and again the characterizing, that is same thing, becoming a habit. If you make a student learn present in the communication skills, why we are talking so much about the communication skills? If a student from the day one he enters into the class has good communication skills, or you make him learn English, present, give seminars, so that at the end of the degree, when he goes out for the job, or he is into the job, talking or communicating or interpersonal skills or presentation skills, he will not have to put in extra effort. It will become a common habit of him to present himself or to communicate with himself, right? So these are the domains apart from the Bloom's taxonomy, that is the cognitive domain. As I said, because education is more considered in the knowledge dissemination part, so more focus is on cognitive domain, and that is why we talk about the Bloom's taxonomy. And Bloom's covers both the taxonomy in a way or other, and we all know that 6 levels are there. But yes, again, this is a question mark, that in our present education system, we are catering, most of us, we are catering to the lower order skills rather than the higher order thinking skills. So the focus is now on higher order thinking skills, that whether we talk about the NBA, whether we talk about the OBE, whatsoever, they say that the requirement is to move the students into the direction where their higher order thinking skills are developed. I won't go into these details much. Right? So now when you write the course outcomes, take into care that you are some way or other including these micro level learning outcomes also. There may be some overlapping in this, and some of the programs may not require affective domain, or some of the programs may not at all require the practical domain, but you should take care to involve the micro levels. This is one picture which I always talk about before I start the mapping part. This is how the course outcomes are should be taken care of. This is the final aim. So this is the final aim or the vision which is to be achieved, and all these steps which the student takes with different course syllabi, with different learning pedagogies, with different styles, with so much different things. The main thing at every level is to reach the, and once he is reached here, so he is showing or depicting the program outcomes. So these are all course outcomes. This is the program outcomes, and the journey after this, which he uses this bow and arrow, that is your PEOs. This picture is incomplete. I'll do it more because today only I just put it on. So after this, the journey of PEO begins. That is how to use this, archery on this. Okay. So now, two things before I come to the main topic. That is, I want to share with you that what to write. How to write the course outcomes, how to use Bloom's taxonomy is always known to us, but we have to take care that what should not be done. Some pitfalls we should be avoided while writing the course outcomes. So it should be, that we always call that they should be smart, they should be specific, measurable, attainable, and they should be time bound, and they should be, what is R for? Relatable also. Okay. So, but while writing the course outcome, it should be taken care that only one active verb, that you should cater to one Bloom's level rather than writing the 2 or 3 Bloom's level together. Today morning only I was taking a session from in the University of Andhra Pradesh. So there I seen this, that they were writing 2, 3, that a student should be able to apply these strategies to analyze so and so, and to depict or critique or compare. So in one outcome they were using 2 or 3 action verbs. No, try to put one action verb or the one course outcome for the one level, and they should not be vague, they should not be very broad, they should be specific, and they should be for specific audience. Even if you are teaching the how to write it, or for some programming subject, if it is in a 3rd semester and other is in 6th semester, your course outcome should be not generic, that okay, programming skills. No, if your course outcomes are catering to the 3rd semester student, then they should target 3rd semester competencies, and the same programming skills, if required in the 6th semester, they should target the 6th semester. So this some pitfalls which should be avoided. How to use the choice of action verb, how to at what in which semester you are writing, or for which audience you are writing, and so all these things you have to cover. Okay? So finally, we have talked about different outcomes, the POs, COs, PEOs, and we all know that they are all interrelated, they are not standalone entities, and the attainment or the outcome of every level affects the other level. So how the course outcomes are planned and attained, they will affect the attainment of the program outcomes, and their attainment will affect the POs, and POs attainment will affect the vision and mission. So all are interrelated to each other. So that is why when we are saying that they are interrelated, so there must be some relation. Okay, there should be some quantity of relation, there should be some coherence between these programs, these outcomes, program outcomes. So how do the institute ensures that when this any degree program demonstrate coherence in sequencing, complexity, and linkages between the program components. This is the main key thing when we design the curriculum. When we move from the when we move from the top to bottom, starting from what vision is of the department, how the POs, what are the POs of the institute or the department, sorry, then how the what are the POs which are expected, and on the basis of this, what course outcomes should be there, and then these course outcomes are clubbed together, keeping in mind these parameters: sequencing, the vertical sequencing, the horizontal balancing, increasing the complexity when the student is moving from first semester to the eighth, and the linkage between the which is the subject, which is the precursor to it, how the knowledge has to be moved in a sequence way for the student. So how can we document and demonstrate the program curricula to the various stakeholders? So that is why it is very important to come up with some relationship between all these parameters. COs, POs, LOs, whatsoever you name you give, they have to be coherent, they have to be related to each other. And this relation is only, we call it as the mapping of COs, POs and POs, articulation mapping, which you people might be doing it, but okay, we can discuss and you can see if something extra you can get out of it. So if we do the mapping, basically the mapping is nothing but a pictorial or the graphical not graphical in fact, a visual map of the program. So which gives a very much clarity to the student as well as to the teacher, that if you verbally tell, okay, these are course outcomes, these are program outcomes, and they are written on the paper, they're disseminated at every your institute website, in your college, in your headroom, everywhere it is there. But until unless the students or the teachers do not have a picture in front of them that how they are related, what has to be done, how to achieve, what has to be done if they are not related, that if that picture is clear to everyone, every stakeholder, then it adds to the, or it is an added advantage for the performance or the proficiency of the any program. So that is why we try to correlate all the main constituents of OBE: vision, POs, and COs. And within COs, as I said, PROs or ADOs or LUOs. Okay, so the mapping is done, and three type of this I will not first. Yeah. Sorry. So three type of mapping has to be done by every faculty, and I would suggest that this mapping should be the part of the teacher course file, whatever course file the teachers are making. I know they put the course outcomes, they put the rest of the things are already there, the syllabus, the assessment, the quiz, the results, attendance, everything is there. And nowadays COPO mapping, initial mapping is also there. But just a second. सेशन ले रही हूँ करती हूँ सेशन ले रही हूँ करती हूँ So three types of mapping has to be done. So the first one is the course articulation matrix, which we all are doing it, right? That is the mapping between not only COs, the COs and the POs. Okay, I'll talk about this. The second type of matrix is the program articulation matrix, which is the mapping between the POs and POs and mission and vision. That is rest all of the constituents of OBE. The third matrix, which is important one and is being missed, that is the course assessment plan. As I said, three things have to be taken care of when we talk about any education system. What to teach, how to teach, and how to assess. So what to teach is the course curriculum in line with the course outcome, program outcome, what we say. How to teach is the teaching learning. process. Okay, how to assess is very, very important. Whatever we are teaching, how we are teaching, whatever we have planned in the very first slide of PDCA, POCO, POs and all, we will check whether we have attained it or not, and that checking is possible only by the various assessment tools. So course assessment plan is also very important and it should be done beforehand. I'll show you how we do it. So to just quantify the mapping, when we are saying that COs are connected with the POs or POs are connected with the COs, right? So how they are connected, what is the correlation? So to just demonstrate the strength of the correlation, we quantify the correlation. So number three indicates the substantial correlation, that is very high mapping. So high correlation. 2 means moderate and 1 means low mapping, and it can be 0 also with no correlation. So this is how now it has become a standard. Otherwise earlier it was high, medium and low. HML used to be the indicators. Then it was difficult for the attainment purpose. So it has now become a uniform standard to mark the level of mapping with the 3, 2 and 1. And it is for all the metrics which is to be designed. Okay. So the first one, like the POs and mission statements. So the first mapping has to be start from the very first one, because we are moving from up to down. What mission requires, that should be in tune with the program educational objectives. So simple metrics with rows and columns. Every key component of mission should be in line with the POs and it should be marked as 3, 2 or 1. Right? So this is again totally your choice whether you are putting POs in the rows or mission in the rows or column, because it is just showing the cell which is at the junction of the both row and the column. So whether POs was in this, I put the mission on the row side and the POs on the column side. In this it is the other way around. So main thing is just to give a representation that how strong and how good or at which level the mapping is done between the POs and the mission. Okay, so this is the same. The next one is POs and the PEOs. Again, the same story, how the program educational objectives are related with the program outcomes. Okay, again it is showing 12, but now it is 11. And the last, but the very, very important one is the course outcome and the PO and PSO mapping. Why it is important? Because first of all, it is linked to the student's performance. Whatever student is learning, whatever student is showing its appearing for the exam and getting the marks, everything is measured in terms of course outcome. And because course outcomes are directly related to program outcomes, so the attainment of the program outcomes also are directly or indirectly linked with the course outcome. So it is very important that the course COPO mapping should be done in a very, very sensible way and a justified way. See earlier, okay, this is one example. Now same way, you can put down the POs and you can put down the PSOs. As I said, the PSOs have to be also taken into the consideration at the same as the POs are taken. So COs and POs have to be marked. This is a very highly ambitious mapping in which all COs are mapped with the all POs, but actually it does not happen so. It should not happen in fact. So this is over ambitious and this is very poor way of mapping. Now you see there are PO6 to PO12 where none of the COs are marked. Okay, so it means this cannot be possible. This should not be there. It means there is some problem with the COs. They have not been framed properly to cater to the all program outcomes. Because I do not want a student who may be having very good knowledge of the object oriented programming, but he does not have any human values and ethics, or the using this, he can investigate and implement polymorphism, inheritance, so blah blah blah, but he is not capable of or he is not does not have a good teamwork or good communication skills, or he can create and handle files, but he cannot handle his self lifelong learning, right? So the course outcome which should be framed and their mapping should be done in such a way that at least that none of the POs should be left empty. At least any one should of the course outcome should be related with the any program outcomes. I'm not saying every CO will be related to all POs as done here. This is too over ambitious, but this should also not be case. A judicious decision or a judicious mapping should be done. Okay, so you can see in this some of the POs only very limited COs are being mapped, right? But there will no such PO which will be untouched by any of the CO. So PO6 as engineer and society, only one CO is taking care of it, but at least there is one. So whenever you do the mapping, okay, take care that none of the POs is left vacant, and it cannot be such also that all COs map to all POs, right? So earlier, how do you map and how do you give this level 3, 2 or 1? I used to write a statement, yeah, that is the glue that holds together the components of the curriculum mapping process is faculty professional judgment and integrity. This was earlier the case, but not now. Earlier it was totally the faculty was responsible, faculty was answerable, and faculty was okay, I feel so, I can justify my stand, so I can put that this is CO1 is related to PO2 by 3 or PO4 or so on. But now it is not so. Now whenever you give 3, 2, 1, you have to justify it. The NBA committee or the head of the department also, they can now ask you that I think I have that straight. Yeah. So CO1, POs, there is their correlation. Now you have to justify what should be the why this 3 is given, why 2 is given, or why 1 is. So this table is also to be now there, testifying so that it should be earlier when we used to do this COPO mapping, it was totally subjective. If I am teaching a subject of say environment, science, or I am teaching DSP, so my understanding of correlation between the COs and POs may differ if the other person is teaching the same subject in the next semester, next year. That is why to remove this subjectivity, this justification is required. So, if the strength of correlation is 3, CO1 and PO3, it is higher map because programming solutions are made for this. CO1 is 1 with PSO1 slightly mapped because the knowledge of programming is used for developing software. Okay, so this is also to be developed and designed so that if some other teacher is teaching, he knows what was in your mind when you define this correlation. Okay, so this is another way of representing in your course file that PO1, CO3, and then the mapping. This I'll talk about assessment. Next thing is when we'll talk about the attainment, when you people talk about, so we have to take a bottom-up approach. So the attainment of COs will affect the attainment of POs, will affect the attainment of POs, and will affect the attainment of vision and mission. So for that mathematical formulation and checking the attainment, we come up with some mathematical part. So just average out the total mapping which we have done. So average of PO1, average of PO2, because this is going, or average of COs also. So this is going to help you when we go for the attainment of the COs and POs. So whenever you define this, you make this matrix, don't forget to do the average part, because this will help you while doing that. Okay. So this is for the lab course or the theory course. Everything has to be mapped and everything has to be done. So mapping collectively, not only the subject wise, you can do for the semester wise. Okay. Obviously, it has to be done for every course coordinator will be responsible for particular subject or the lab for the mapping, and the module coordinator or the program coordinator will be responsible for the mapping of the COPO at the entire semester. Because as I said, the course outcome will directly affect the attainment of the program outcomes also. So it is very important to keep these things in the track. Okay. The third one which I wanted to talk about is the mapping or the articulation with the assessment. See, when we do the assessment attainment part, how, so the question paper or the examination, whatever is the norm in your university, mid semester, end semester, internal assessment, quiz, formative, whatever it is. So that has to be taken into account while checking for the course outcomes, right? Already a session has been there, as I've seen. So if before designing that question paper, before coming up with the assessment, if such type of metrics is done by a teacher, that is CO, this is the CO description, it is okay with PO1. And how will I check? It is okay with PO1. And how will I check on what parameters? That will be, say, 2 questions in first midterm. So say T1 is one midterm, T2 is end term, A1 may be one assignment, A2 may be quiz or lab. Any whatever assessment tools you are using in your institute, you can mark them. So if you make a matrix that, okay, CO1, how am I going to check the attainment? That is through a mid-semester exam in which 2 questions I will ask, having 2 parts, and that will take care of the CO1 attainment. So not to write the questions, not to define the problem, just now there is a clarity to the teacher that, okay, CO1, 2 questions, and that will check. CO2, I'm not interested in checking in the mid or final exam, but through an assignment or through a quiz. CO3, which is PO2, PO3, end semester exam and a quiz, and PO4. So this type of articulation with the assessment, if it is predefined, it will be a helping hand to the teacher when he will make up question paper. And if you discuss this or show it to the students also, then it will be very much clear to the students also that in mid-semester exam, which outcome or what outcome I am expected to exhibit, so he can also check whether I am lagging in that or how can I further improve, or finally when I talk about the course outcome attainment, whether I will be able to attain or not. So this matrix, if you people are not making it, you can make it. Or this is another simple way. So you write the CO statement and which tool you are taking. Assignment, test 1, internal assessment, multiple choice. So this is your way of articulating the metrics between the assessment tools and the course outcomes. Right? So see, there is no thumb rule. Some people ask me that, okay, what is the formula for checking or for writing this? There is no thumb rule. Whatever you are showing or whatever your institute is following for the attainment, the threshold level or the score, whichever you people have already know about it. So whatever your institute is following, the method, that should be uniform and it should be well justified. So this is another case which I have taken from one of the institute. So what they have done is, so Bloom's level is there, and the internal assessment, that is formative assessment, continuous learning assessment, they have broken into percentage, and the end semester also. So the first level will have only 15% part, level 5, level 4 may have 35% for the practice 20. So again, it is not a uniform type of assessment plan, but whatever is being done at the institute level, that should be uniform and that should be well justified. So the question paper also for mapping purpose, your question paper should also carry not only the marks information, but the CO information as well as the Bloom's level information. I know most of you must be doing it, but if not, make it a habit, make it a norm that every question along with the marks distribution, the CO is also there, because CO mapping, this is again a mapping of the assessment question paper with the particular CO, right? So this is another one type of example which I have taken. So question, marks is there, CO is there, Bloom's level, PO level, and PI code also. This is more of too elaborated, but at least the first 3 columns can be taken care of. Okay. So when the NBA people come, or for your records also, or for the analysis, because see, OBE talks about the continuous quality improvement, right? The very first thing which you talk about, because it tries to bridge the gap between what was planned and what has been achieved. So it is very important to keep the track. So whatever of what we are doing. So whatever mapping has been done, from that, how many levels? Like you can see this. This is again a representation that level 2, 36% of marks. Level 3, 46. Level 4, 18%. So such type of study can be done on the basis of how you are assessing and what Bloom's level you are talking about. Okay. So yeah, as I said, all the main constituents are interrelated with each other, starting from the performance indicators to the program outcomes to the course and the assessment, attainment, and finally the attainment. All are interrelated. Some are short-term interrelations, some are long-term interrelations, but none of the constituents is independent. So when they are interrelated, obviously a mapping has to be done. Yeah, this is the last slide which talks about what administrative system should be there for the implementation of the OBE. Right? So if one subject is being taught by one particular teacher, there should be a course coordinator who should take care of all the CO formulation, COPO mapping, COPO attainment and everything. But if there are some subjects where number of teachers are teaching the same subject, like first year special subjects, physics, maths, or sometimes C programming, or say elements of say basic electronics. So where the course is being taught to different students and number of teachers are taking that course, then one module coordinator should be assigned to bring the uniformity between the for the mapping and the attainment part. So it will be called the module coordinator. And program coordinator should be the in charge for the main coordination for the entire semester. So all the courses in the that semester, how it is being coordinated and how the mapping is done. And then yes, at the higher level, again that depends upon the institute, program assessment, department advisory board, and finally the IQAC cell, which will keep. See what happens is the track. See what happens is we stop. Okay, we do the POCOs, frame the COs, map the COPOs, attain the COPOs, but we do not analyze and revise. The revision and the analysis part is very, very important, because every time we are seeing the COPO or mapped and attained or not attained, then what steps are to be taken to attain the COs which were not attained, or how to improve the proficiency. So that analysis part, that revision, maybe in the form of revision of curriculum, maybe revision of the COs which have been framed, maybe revision of the mapping, that should also be taken care by the department heads or by the authorities. Right. So with this, I'll stop here, and I'm open to any questions which the faculty members might be having.
Participants, if any query or any discussion you want to do.
Yeah. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
If no further questions are there, I would extend my thanks to Professor Shankar Singh for giving me this opportunity, and to all the participants for such a patience listening. Thank you so very much. And still, if some questions come to your mind, you can just put it to Dr. Shankar, and he can pass it on to me, and be very happy to your answers.
Thank you very much, madam. Good evening, madam.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Is my voice audible, madam?
Yeah, yes, Professor Singh. Yeah, please.
It is just out of curiosity to give some awareness to our faculty and scholars.
Yes.
How to improve industry-oriented research? Because in our taxonomy or whatever, beyond the levels, even if students achieve, but whatever they should be ready to serve the industry like. So how to improve and encourage as per your experience?
Yeah, sir. When we talk about how to improve or how go along with it, try to give the students the projects or the problems which are industry related. Right? Otherwise, see, when the general aptitude is, when we say to how to involve the industry people, what we do is we call some people from industry, give them 2-3 lectures, or they interact with the final year students, or we call some industry expert for their when we design the curriculum. Right? When we design the curriculum, the story is left there only. But I would suggest, whenever, if the students are going for your internship to the industry, okay. So first of all, mark or give some weightage, or some marks should be given for the industry training, which now the NAP is also emphasizing on the job training, and then put some faculty who will go and who will check whether the students are doing that training sincerely or not, so that they know the student goes to the industry and knows that hands-on how he can work there. Okay. Second thing is give them some projects, some minor projects which are relevant to the industry. Even if every student cannot be directly related to the industry, if the college is linked with some MOUs there with the industry, the college can ask the industry people to give them the problem statements, and that problem statements can be given to the students, so that they can come up with the innovation also, and then they can come up with some better solutions, and then some industry and academia linkage can be there.
That is a very good idea, madam. But I have some observation just here with our August gathering. I have seen in many institutions, whether it is a private college or IITs or NITs, many times students are not interested in, especially BTech final year, not interested in this industry-oriented project. Instead, they are seeking for alternative as a course to fulfill that credit. Or such type of systems are also being followed, seeing the response of these students. So what do you say about it? I don't know in other institutions. I've seen some NITs. I'm in NIT Rourkela. I was a scientist for 2 decades in CSR and Ministry of Mines. Yeah, please.
Nice. So you say that in the like 7th semester or 8th semester, the students are not going for the industry and they're
Project.
just project, and so then in your curriculum you might have given that flexibility.
Yes, that's what I wanted to know. We are compelled to give that flexibility because of the poor performance or whatever we can say in the previous years, and there should be some alternative. This was the idea why some alternative was given instead of the project. Some to fulfill that 6 credits or whatever the credit, 2 courses, theory course or something like that. So is that practice there in other institutions? Because there are different people.
No, sir, it is astonishing that NIT Rourkela, which is a premier institute, I have been faculty at NIT Hamirpur for 8 years, we have been now part of designing the curriculum, but I have not seen anywhere that the students are given this flexibility that instead of major project you take 2 subjects. Then the students will never take the major project or industry oriented. They will take I don't think this is a good practice, or this should not be taken as. I don't understand why, and I don't understand why the flexibility, such flexibility is given. In the coming NEP, NEP 2020 or NBA, they are going to give the micro projects in every subject.
Yes.
In every subject now, the if you go through the National Credit Framework or the Higher Education Qualification Framework, the credits which are being given, like 160 credits, out of these you see how many credits are for self-learning and micro projects and more projects related to the industry. So students should not, I don't think this is a good practice, sir. You should revise the curriculum. This flexibility should not be given.
That is being done. That is being done. But the only thing I wanted to know, in other institutions, how people could be able to encourage taking up field-oriented projects or going to the industries?
People can, but I don't. In my like, as far as my knowledge goes, I have not heard about this. But rest of the participants are there. If anybody has something,
they can share their experiences.
Anyone of you, please.
Yeah, even if students are taking project, if they are not doing as per expectation or like that, how they are able to cope up with this? I mean, encourage them to do in a better way. Since they are in the final year, so they are almost passed out in all the subjects. Then I am telling the facts, some facts, and they are just pushed out. Even the project quality is not good. Instead of that, at least they can learn some subjects. This was some of the ideas by different other institutions.
Yeah, Mr. Sunil Kumar wants to say something.
In last semester, we almost same thing. We give option to the students whether they go for internship and or they can have 2 subjects with major project. Even with internship, they have to do 1 project which will be assigned by the institute, and rest they can do in the industry itself. To promote this placement, we time to time we conduct some aptitude test and some test or MCQs related to our subjects, 4 subjects, especially in our department here, mechanical engineering. Welding is quite prominent, and most of the industry they like to come here, which are in welding background. So time to time we take those MCQs, and even motivate them or MCQs or even motivate them or give them lecture by the experts from the institute or from outside the institute. So this pattern is followed, and definitely, sir, you are right. Project does help. There are many students who comes to us and say that, sir, we have done this project in our 2-month training in some industry, and people of recruitment, they recruit me on basis of that, or on the basis of the project they are doing. But to motivate each and every student, sometimes it becomes difficult. They don't come to us, and if I have 60 or 65 students to tackle, and other duties also, it's very difficult to go to each and motivate them. But yes, we try our best that maximum to maximum students can be motivated.
Yeah, that's what we have observed, because I have been there as a board of studies member for many institutions, including NITs and even IITs also, and many private institutions. So this type of problem we were facing. So since they are not interested in the project, let me put it that way, and just for the name's sake, at the end of the semester, before leaving, they will submitting something, but there is no proper outcome. That is the reason why from that. So that is the reason why this type of alternative, at least they will learn some other skills or some other subjects. Meenakshi madam, that was the idea, but was done in many institutions.
Okay, it might, but I don't know, I may be a strict master.
But if you will give the choice to the students,
to the students to be in their comfort zone, they will always
It is not in that way, madam. Suppose we are given the project, they are not doing it. Then at the end, you are not stopping them beyond that semester just for the project. They passed all the subjects.
I agree, but if you
just see into it, instead of marking the student marks at the end of the project, if you can break their assessment, that okay, your problem formulation is say 2 marks. You bring some literature review, okay, that also carries a mark. You come up with a presentation of what you want to do, that also carries a mark. So the student at least will go step by step, and he will know, okay, out of say 6 credits or say 100 marks whatsoever, if I am able to achieve at least some marks in that, it will be beneficial for me. But if you give him a better choice, okay, take these 2 subjects and go, then obviously he say I'm good. And I don't know whether, because that type of students will be the students with low CGPA.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right, because for them, if you are doing so, that was my second point. Okay, if this condition or this flexibility is to be given, then put some, that students with CGPA of less than 5 or 6, for them only this choice is there. Then it makes sense, because they are slow-paced learners, they are not able to cope up, and you cannot stop them or waste their 1 year. So but otherwise, if you give this as an open choice for every student, then I think it does not make sense. But I said in the morning I was taking a session in Vignan University. So there I've seen this, I just remembered that for every project or for every part, they've broken this assessment. Some mid-semester, like as I gave you the problem formulation, presentation, small research, some report, literature report, small paper presentation, something which can accumulate.
We also do here. Same thing.
Same thing is being done, I think, everywhere. But instead of all this, that is given not up to the expectation. That's what just I wanted to say. And of course, we should come up with some good solutions so that they should do more industry-oriented works and projects.
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
I think faculty has to come forward for that. We cannot only depend on the students for that. Faculty has to take the initiative. They have to go to the industry, and then they have to take the problems. They have to give to the students and force them to do that. That
That will also not go, sir. ये academic administration has to take steps. Not faculty पहले ही जो faculty है ना, ऐसे faculty वो जो हमारी देवी होती है ना, 10 हाथ वाली, वो है जिसमें पढ़ाना भी है, MBA भी करना है, क्लर्क भी करना है, मेंटरिंग भी करनी है. So आप faculty को और डाल दीजिए. Faculty will not go. Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
madam. Nicely explained with a good example, madam.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much. मेरा वीडियो नहीं काम कर रहा है सुबह से. Thank you so much.
लेकिन आपकी बात अच्छी लगी कि भाई फैकल्टी के कितने हाथ करेंगे, क्या क्या करेगी फैकल्टी, ये आपने
दुर्गा पूजा में अच्छा एग्जाम्पल भी दिया. 10 हाथ वाले.
10 हाथ वाले. और लेडीज के तो 2 हाथ घर में भी होते हैं ना सर.
Yes, madam. Right.
Okay. Thank you. It was nice taking the session.
नमस्कार सर, प्रोफेसर सिंघम. नमस्कार सर.
Yes, sir. नमस्ते सर. कल हम लोग 10:30 बजे है ना सर?
10 बजे.
थोड़ा माइनिंग में लेके जाऊंगा आप लोग.
आप
Thank you, ma'am.
अच्छा
And also, okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
And
Dear participants, so today's session ends here, and we will join our next session tomorrow. And Professor Singham will be with us tomorrow at 10. And for all the participants, it is requested to please join by 9:50. And I have also posted today's attendance and feedback
in the WhatsApp group. You can fill it.
in the WhatsApp group.
So thank you,
Singham sir. So thank you, Singham sir.
Okay, sir. Namaste.
Nicely being done.
Thank you.
Nicely being done. अच्छा है. Okay.
जी सर. फीडबैक एंड हाँ. नहीं सर, अभी ऊपर नहीं हूँ, जस्ट आऊँगा 2 मिनट. बताओ गूगल फॉर्म अच्छा. मैं आता हूँ. ओके.